see this is in other people is easier. You can see when people aren't just acknowledging your positive qualities, or they're saying, yeah, but you are quite good at it, but it's actually really important in terms of personal development that you catch it in yourself when you do it. And that, well, I mean, the term that is very often used for this is just being over harshly judgmental, for example, where you just say, yeah, but, all the time. So coming into the mindset of being appreciative includes like being open, rather than fixed in your views. That you actually have a sense of the possibilities of things, positive qualities growing and changing. So I think that the implications of the mindset of appreciation is huge, because in a way, if you're appreciative of all your other positive qualities, including your mindfulness, your metta, your ability to be compassionate, to be generous, then those things can grow. It's like a nutrient. It feeds those qualities. So, you know, we think about being kind as a mindset, or being generous as a mindset. But I think it can be very interesting, very useful, even essential to think about this this quality of appreciation as a mindset, sort of running through and feeding all your positive qualities, endorsing them actually, and acknowledging them, and allowing you to have confidence in them so that they can grow. And well, within your life. Now, I'm not going to say any more about that, but what I'll just mention it now. Over the last 3 weeks or so, I've been writing quite a lot on appreciation, and I've put them into 2 posts in the North London Buddhist Centre Facebook page. So later on, or it's another time, if you go to the NLBC Facebook, pretty, you know, not far down the list, there are 2 essays effectively on the quality of appreciation, which fills it out much more than I'm doing here now. So what I would like to do is just start the process of guiding you in to the quality of appreciation. And so if you would just turn your videos off for the moment, that's all right. If you can't do it, Mark, that's fine. Just leave it. It's fine. I don't mind seeing it. It's great. Just leave it. So at the beginning of any meditation, it's very useful to have a clear sense of the direction and intentionality that you have for that meditation. So part of the intentionality is always to come into the experience of yourself and to engage with that. So just bring that to mind now. and being aware of your body as an intention. Arriving into a sense of your body as you sit here, feeling what it's like in terms of the energy of it, temperature, whether it feels comfortable or uncomfortable anywhere. And having the intention to just keep bringing attention into the experience of your body and stay with it. And now bringing awareness particularly to the front of your body, the chest, heart area, and the belly, and the breath, and the rhythm of the breath coming in and out. Being open to the flow and rhythm of the breath. Staying with it. And the movement that the breath causes in your body, feeling it, the rise and fall, expansion, contraction, as it happens. And feeling now what your gentle determination and gentle persistence to stay with the breath actually feels like in the background. So you have the breath, but you also have your persistence and determination to stay with it, and bringing that into experience. and having the intention to develop this sensitivity to the moment that your attention wavers away, and to nudge it, draw it back to the breath. So sensitivity, like a little radar. When you start to go off, you come back. And now within the whole of the breathing process, noticing where your experience of the breath is most noticeable and focusing in on that. Staying with it, developing that little radar for when you drift and come back. You're steering yourself always into the experience, the sensation, movement of the breath. And again, being open to your sense of gentle persistence or gentle determination to stay with the breath, feeling it, recognizing it when you feel it. Now having a sense of adjusting your effort, your attentiveness. You might need to apply yourself a little more, so you do that. Or if you're too pushed, back up a little bit. So you play, as it were, with the accelerator, going forward a bit more into the experience. Just getting used to adjusting your effort so it's just right. Now bringing your attention up to the breath in the nostrils. And keeping that as your main focus, sensitivity to it. And again, adjusting your effort. So you're taking in the experience and staying with it, very focused but relaxed. got, as it were, a go to the breath momentum. Being open to any changes in yourself. Do you relax or tighten? Do you feel more comfortable or settled? Just noticing that and taking it in and then coming back to the breath in the nostrils. And now broadening your awareness to your body generally, but particularly the heart, chest area and the belly, and just feel it, what it's like. Just take time to take it in, right from the skin and the clothes inwards. Without making commentary, just letting that go. And now we're going to start using our imaginations to help us engage with the quality of appreciation. So bring to mind someone who you like, a friend to whatever degree. And just bring to mind, first of all, any benefits that you've had from that person, their kindness, their generosity, their clarity of mind, their presence. Just bring that to mind. Be open to that quality of appreciation of them and what it feels like. Appreciation of big things, little things about them. Things which you see as very positive and helpful to them. And you might actually now start to get a sense of recognition of particular qualities they have that you really appreciate. Without thinking too much, just let the words come to you, or the quality. And there might be words that you're surprised by, but if they are relating to appreciation of their positive qualities and how they are, then just let them be there. It's the quality of appreciation that we're allowing to come more and more into our awareness, what it feels like, the recognition of it as a background quality as you bring that person to mind. Now let that person fade away, but still stay with the theme of appreciation. Now bring another friend to mind, someone completely different. And same thing, just bring to mind what it is about them, their qualities, their attitudes perhaps, that you think are really positive and helpful to them, that you appreciate. And also perhaps the things that they've done for you. Appreciation, what it feels like. So as you feel, to any degree, this quality of appreciation of that person, just notice if any other qualities arise. Just be aware of them. It's not like you have a list or anything, just let things occur to you. Could be admiration, respect, for example. Now letting that person fade away, but staying with the quality of appreciation. Now bring to mind yourself and anything in the family, say for example, of care and kindness and generosity that you have, just bring it to mind. And with the quality of appreciation of those qualities within you, appreciate them as a feeling or a feeling tone. And what that feels like spreading through your mind. Now, another sort of family of qualities, how you sort of move forward on things, how you give yourself to situations or projects or your practice, your application, and the quality of appreciation of that as you notice it. Now bringing to mind the aspects of yourself where you're wanting to be clear about things, you want to understand things clearly and honestly. Bring that quality of mind and the appreciation of it in yourself. Perhaps also connected with this is being aware of your self-honesty to whatever degree you have it, and the appreciation of it within you. And if your mind starts wandering, come back to your body, especially the heart, chest area. And now being open to, if you have the quality within you of, well, you can grow in every situation, even difficulties, you can find benefits and opportunities to grow and to develop. If you have that attitude, then bring it to mind, and the appreciation of it as a positive quality. So now, in a more kind of personal initiative, just open the question in your own mind: what positive qualities do I have that help me in my growth and development? Just bring them to mind and be open to the appreciation of them as they arise. So recognition and appreciation of them. What helps you grow, develop, and also perhaps be altruistic and kind to others. Letting the appreciation be connected to the recognition of the positive quality. Just appreciating yourself more generally now as a person who's aiming to be aware and have positive qualities and attitudes. Generally appreciative. Let it fill you. And just being open to any of those caveats and just letting them go. Broadening your awareness generally now to the room, opening your eyes, taking in the room. And when you're ready, turning your video back on. So if there is someone who you know in this whole class and you have a sense of appreciation of them, any quality, then in the messaging part, send it to them, a direct message saying, I appreciate you, or I appreciate something about you. And just type it in now. And just press enter when you're ready. Whoops. Good. Okay. So one of the important things about personal development is that you keep a continuity of presence with a quality. So that's true for this, the quality of appreciation, the ability and the potential, even you can say the background potential for being appreciative. And I think, it's a bit like, I often think of the gong with situations like this. It's sitting there doing nothing. And then a situation happens that rings it, and it comes, you hear it. And it's a bit like that with positive qualities. We're aiming just to have them mostly in the background, but then they can just come forward when they're needed or when they're stimulated. So I'm going to leave it here for the moment. We are going to have a tea break now. So if you arrive back, that's good. And yes, the recording is on. So I think that the the main purpose really of Sampa inviting me to this class today was for me to talk about a bit about my life, and what I've done and things that are important. Whoops. So I don't know if you heard that. So I think the main point of inviting me for this evening was for me just to talk a bit about my life and what is important to me in my practice and my teaching, and how things have developed for me over the years. So I think it's worth saying straight away, I started really young. I read a book on Buddhism when I was 19, and on the strength of that, went to Japan and stayed in a Japanese Zen temple precinct for most of the year, and really got into it. And we did a lot of meditation. I mean, when I say a lot, I mean like 14 hours a day when we were weekends and the sessions. And otherwise, we were doing 3 hours in the morning before breakfast, and then I'd go to work teaching English. And actually, it was clear from me from my very, very first day of what we would call a retreat, where I'd just done 14 hours where I basically didn't know at all what I was doing. I got no instruction at all, except, oh, there's your cushion. We do sit for 50 minutes, walk for 10, sit for 15, for 3 sessions, a short break, then come back. At the end of it, I just knew that I would be doing meditation for the rest of my life. It was just absolutely clear to me. And after I left Japan, I got involved with a Thai Buddhist Theravadan teacher, and for a while, maybe a year or so, and then I found what we would call then Western Buddhism, the Western Buddhist order, and the man who founded the Western Buddhist order, Sangha. And 9 months later, I was ordained. So I was ordained in 72. So I've been full-time teaching pretty much since that year. At the end of that year, Sangha more or less threw me into the deep end of teaching. I mean, we mostly would never do what he did to me. He was going to lead a retreat in Holland that had been organized by a very capable person who knew lots of people and had her own center. So it's a huge place in Rotterdam. And we were going to do that at Christmas. And then he invited her over to London. And when she came over with me present, he said, I'm not going to go. Vajradaka is going to lead the retreat. He didn't even ask me.
You can't really say no, could you?
No, you couldn't say no. No, it's like, what? Oh, okay. That's all I said, really. Or are you sure? And he said, yeah. And I'd never even taught meditation before. And it was a 10-day retreat for 40 people. And I was the youngest person there by a really long way. There were people who had PhDs, master's degrees in Buddhism, had sat at all kinds of centers. The head of mental health for Holland was there. There were lots of really experienced people. And I think it wasn't at all easy, because all I knew was the way that Bhante taught. So I'll call him Bhante. So in a way, I was speaking with his voice. I was doing what he had done. I didn't have the experience, or I didn't have the initiative or the wherewithal to speak with my own voice. And I think that actually came across, and there was a revolution in the revolt and the retreat, and 3 people said to everyone, or 40 people, we don't think he should be leaving the retreat, we should. And there was this big meeting with all the people, and I knew then that something really had to change. And I couldn't just speak from Bansi's voice. I had to find my own strength, actually, and my own way of communicating. And I just communicated to them what I wanted to do, and everyone voted for me. I mean, oddly enough, it came to a vote, and I got the vote. And then I just said, I want to meet every single one of you personally in that little room for 10 minutes. I want to talk with every one of you. And it was like, I think actually that was one of the most significant moments in me coming into my confidence in myself as communicating meditation and Buddhism and the Dharma. And after that, there was no problem. You know, they all just did what I said, fortunately. They were Dutch, which isn't all that easy for them. And they later on, years later, when Bansi went, they revolted against him. And he almost came to a vote as well. It was really quite, it was like a similar situation, which I think really shook him. So when I left there, I just decided and came back to London, talked to him, and I told him what happened. He said, I knew you'd be fine. And I had been working for Save the Children Fund. And I mean, again, this would never happen now. They basically hired me to go around preschool playgroups, ostensibly to teach children, but they're actually, the implicit, unsaid thing was that I was to influence the old school, preschool leaders into a less formal way of teaching the kids, into a way of drawing out the kids' own ability to learn. And I think it was because, you know, at my interview, I mean, I was still, I was 21 when I had that interview with them. I think they just got it that I could do that. But when I came back from the retreat, I left my job with Save the Children Fund and basically started supporting myself by doing and teaching massage, which a friend taught me, and supported myself to be a full-time meditation teacher, basically all over the world. So I just started really, you know, a few years later. And and so nearly 50 years I've been doing it, but, you know, says proudly, never had a job. And I think that process of finding my own voice and finding what really matters, combining with my instinctual interest in what really makes meditation work, what makes mindfulness work, what understanding, what skills, what qualities really makes it effective, and how do you communicate that? I think that came more to the forefront when I moved to Vajradaka Retreat Center in 1985, and we became like the meditation and mindfulness teaching center for the whole of Western Triratna, as we now call it. And I was traveling all around the world, but we at the retreat center were constantly revising the language and the formulations of how we communicated, how to meditate, ways of guiding people in to meditation. And amazingly, I was there for 21 years. I say amazingly because, you know, I would never have thought that of myself, but I just really loved that process of developing teachings around meditation and mindfulness. And then, in a way, Vajradaka changed, and it wasn't so much a teaching situation. It became more of a place just for people to go and practice. So I left and I came to London. And quite soon afterwards, I got an offer to teach mindfulness at a big European bank, where Shrijan also works for them. And that was 9 years ago. And I said I didn't ever see myself as teaching in a bank. It's not what I thought I'd be doing. But actually, I said I'd do it for 3 weeks. And at the end of the 3 weeks, I was really loving it, actually. People were very responsive. Just a huge office, 1,000 people coming every week freshly. You know, we'd get up to 30, 40, 50 people to a class. And there are people coming today who came 9, nearly 10 years ago. They're still coming regularly. Now we have at the moment like 2 classes a week, and people are still coming. And I wanted to mention that because for me, it's actually really important that I do, the very fact that I do those classes for the bank and for another really big company, property company, because they're almost like the areas where I can just play without any constraint of the thought, I've got to do this properly. I've got to do this, you know, in the accepted way, maybe in the Triratna way. I don't have to think like that. I can just develop, explore ideas, approaches without any fear, actually. And it's a really wonderful experience. I really love it. And I think that, oddly enough, that is really the main source for my creativity with developing teachings. And there is a feedback loop, as it were, between me teaching at the centers and teaching in the big companies. But I think it's in the big companies where the ideas develop, oddly enough. So I know it's weird, isn't it? I mean, who would have thought it? I mean, I'll give you an example of the feedback loop. So I do online mentoring with people on their meditation and mindfulness and the Dharma with people all over the world. And there are people who I have I mentor regularly. And that also is partly goes towards my support. And there's a GFR, someone in Sydney who wants to join the order. And I've been mentoring him every 2 weeks for a while. And he mentioned that he was going to give a talk on sympathetic joy, gladness in others, happiness, and asked me if I had any comments. And I just said, well, it seems to me that one of the most important qualities is appreciation. You appreciate people's good qualities and you can then be glad about them. And then I think it was the next day I did a class at the bank, and then I did it on that. And then all the notes, which are now up on the North London Buddhist Centre Facebook page, grew out of those classes, actually. at the bank and for the property company. So the notes which are up on the Facebook page are actually the notes which I wrote for people who go to the Friday class at the bank. Yet, you know, they translate perfectly into any situation, actually. I'm not mentioning any Buddhist words. I don't need to in that context, I don't think. So that process of going backwards and forwards between, you know, what I would call Western Buddhist situations and organizations, and teaching in both, for me is a very creative and joyous, actually, experience. I think that, and part of that is I very rarely repeat myself. You know, perhaps people who come to the classes at the bank, I know there's at least one of you here this evening, will see patterns repeating themselves. But I'm not teaching to a menu. So for me, the process is really, for me, it's like my form of creativity. I mean, I like to draw and paint and do all things more classically expressive of creativity, but actually I think it's my teaching which I think of as my area of creativity. And I think it's important that everyone finds their area of creativity, and it doesn't have to be drawing, you know. I bet some of you are glad I said that. Well, you know, but actually finding it out. But I think that's part of that actually is appreciation of your strengths, you know, your own personal appreciation of your skills and recognition of them, actually. And that's why I wanted to do the meditation or the introduction and the meditation on appreciation. Because I think actually it is the source of all creativity in one's life. Everything, in the sense that all positive qualities can be progressive and develop and grow. It's a rather loose interpretation of the term creative, but I think, well, there are precedents for that. And so now I'm in this situation where I'm doing exactly what I want to do. Anyway, I'm living the life I want to live. And I know some of you know me. I've really always wanted to live in situations with people who are also serious about practicing and communicating meditation, mindfulness, growth, development. And I've been always really always been in situations like that, and I am at the moment in Stoke Newington. I just want to, in a way, go back a step, because there's something that occurs to me that was important about the context of teaching in the companies. And because it's stated very, very clearly that the mindfulness teaching will not promote any particular religion or point of view. And actually, there are quite a few people who come, well, clearly to the bank from who are in different religions. Quite a lot of Muslims, I would say, even, and Christians as well. And so the direction is, how does awareness and mindfulness really help you with your physical and mental wellness, your emotional wellness, dealing with whatever mental or emotional difficulties you have, whatever physical difficulties you have at any given time? How does the mindfulness and meditation really help you deal with that in a progressive, positive way? And how as a result of that, can the mindfulness and the meditation really help you develop and grow into your positive qualities? And so that is the emphasis. And in a way, it's quite over. That's the overt goal. I mean, the property company is the committee who funds the classes is the wellness committee, for example. And so I slip in the personal development, growth and development as part of that, because I think it's implicitly connected, or even explicitly, I'd like to make it connected. So in that way, I feel that for me, there's a direct relationship between me having an acuity, a clear understanding of how I become more aware of how my positive qualities in all forms grow and develop, and how I communicate. So I'm always attempting to communicate from my experience. And, of course, I know the background teachings of mindfulness and Buddhism. But actually, what I'm attempting to do is always find how they have become embodied, and to communicate from that, rather than just an idea about what mindfulness is, or meditation is, or Buddhism is. And so for me, there's a direct relationship, and I think this is probably pretty obvious now. There's a direct relationship between me sitting and meditating every day and what I communicate. I think this evening is a good example of that. For me, the quality of being appreciative is central to my life. I think everyone should be appreciative. Appreciative of themselves, appreciative of their situations, appreciation of the earth and the planet and the way it feeds us and looks after us, appreciative of the people who help the planet and each other. For me, it feeds a sense of enthusiasm for the development of positive qualities. So that's an example. This is an example. Appreciation is an example of my teaching coming directly out of what I feel, and what I feel is really important. And I would say that my own experience of myself, it is imbued with that quality of appreciation in a positive sense. And I think when you have appreciation of yourself. It's not being big-headed or thinking, too much of yourself. It's just a very clear recognition of what is here and how positive it is. So I really appreciate this opportunity to talk about it. I mean, it's great. It's great for me to be able to just to think about it, to talk about it to people, as it were, the sum from the two worlds, the Buddhist and the bank. So I think what I'd like to do is just open it up to any questions